Welcome to the Pride of Detroit PODcast, prideofdetroit.com, Pride of Detroit on Twitter, Pride of Detroit on Facebook. You know where to find us here as we sit here. And unfortunately, it's already the time of year where we have to talk about a Lions loss, which means for half of you, this is venting. For half of you, this might be some group counseling and therapy after something like this. We're here to make sense of senseless things. That is the motto of the Pride of Detroit PODcast because we have been covering Detroit Lions football for 9 years. I am Chris Perfett at Chris Perfett on Twitter, Perfett, as we come to you live on twitch.tv/Pride of Detroit and youtube.com/at Pride of Detroit. Jeremy Reisman, the fearless leader at Detroit Online, is with us today, as always, over here with keeping the fears at bay.
Sure. Yeah. I'm not fearful. I know a lot of people seem to be very fearful in a moment right now. Listen, this team wasn't going 17-0. I know there were probably some people predicting it because they're crazy. They're 1-1. It's fine. Everyone relax.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping to tone people down today. That's my goal in the next 60 minutes is I'm gonna be the guy in Animal House saying everything is okay except it actually is.
Yeah. I think that we do this every year a little bit, Jeremy, that it is a reminder like, hey, it's a long season. I know that doesn't ring right with everyone. I know sometimes some people are in college mode. It's a long ass season. Some other teams who have even higher expectations, they might be 0-2. They might be 1-1 as well. Everyone's in the same boat. It's not perfection. One man who does strive for perfection in all things, though, Ryan Matthews, at Ryan_POD, who gave me a very quick shaking of the head.
The only one who strives for perfection around here is Perfect.
Thank you. I still want to have a perfect game one of these days. Ryan's mood is evident by the whiteboard. For those of you, we haven't mentioned the whiteboard too much on the audio only version. Ryan has a whiteboard behind him on our Zoom call that we can see. He currently has the American League wildcard standings up there right now. So just to let you know where his brain is at.
It's one Detroit team that won today. So
I've never been more disappointed in you, Ryan.
I think there is
it's not true.
There is an obscure rule that I think you can't have multiple Detroit teams win on the same day. I'm pretty sure there was a game last year, Ryan, we blamed on the Pistons.
Yeah, except I think that there's a lot of blame to be dished around for why the Lions didn't win this one today.
Ooh, boy, is there. Now it's time for our takeaways. And as always, later on, we will then get into the nitty gritty of offense and defense. And yeah, we've got a huge bucket of topics here. We're going to see what our big takeaways are and see what we take out of the bucket. And then we're going to give you the rest of the bucket and pour it directly onto you. That's how PODcast works. Stop. Don't look at me like that, Jeremy. This is trying
You're the
times
one talking
about
pouring buckets on people. I don't know what that means.
This sounds like a way that is this the ALS bucket challenge? What are we doing here?
Let's start. Actually, we usually do our individual takeaways. Jeremy, but would you rather want to start with just talking about the coaching snafus right off the top, or is that too awkward?
I don't know. I mean, we can talk about it. We can acknowledge it, but like there's no takes to be had. Like
okay.
They messed up bad, right? Like
yeah,
and it cost them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's save that to the side before we go out. Then, sorry to do our programming on air. Let me just put my big takeaway on this is that the offense last year found zen in balance. It was a very balanced offense. You had the run game. You had the passing game. You were able to show teams that you were multifaceted, multi-dimensional, and you were full of that. You didn't really show your weaknesses too much. You had a tool for every situation. The Lions offense today got really one-dimensional at times. And I don't think you need to look any further from Jared Goff's attempted pass line, which was 55. We'll talk about Jared Goff a little bit later in the podcast, but I don't want to ever see another Lions game where Jared Goff has to throw the ball 55 times. Now, I know some of that is they are behind in the score, but also this team is a good enough running team that they really should not be in a situation, even when desperate, throwing 55 times, right? Like, and I think there's a conversation to be had about what the Lions should have done when they realized Vita Vea was out of the game. But the the Buccaneers have very strong linebackers. It makes attacking their defense kind of tricky. But at the same time, I felt the real if there's so many different things to talk about that's going on with the offense, be that Jared Goff, the red zone offense, the lack of Sam Laporta, some play calling and a bubble screen I'm really tired of seeing, even though I know it's in everyone's playbooks. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I come back to that as my defining trunk that I'm having an issue with from this game, which was 55 passing attempts for Jared Goff. The Lions had a tremendous amount of yardage in this game. I think it was at 463 yards or so net yards. I would have liked to see some more of those in rushing attempts, and maybe, just maybe, you control the tempo a little bit better. But
Well, I mean,
I don't know. Yeah,
I was just gonna say it all kind of pulls into coaching, right? Like I think this was a coaching loss. Obviously there are things that the players need to clean up here and there. Jared Goff in particular, I would say, but there wasn't like a lot of dropped passes. There wasn't fumbles. There wasn't a ton of missed tackles. The coaching staff just didn't pick it up where they needed to. And whether you want to talk about the snafu at the end of the first half where whoever was on the sideline that told the field goal team to go out there, whether it was Dan Campbell and he takes full responsibility for, and if he's covering for someone or if it was really his fault, we'll never really know because he's doing what a good head coach does, but it was a mistake there. And yeah, it was very strange to see after the tails of coming off that Rams game, absolutely dominating them on the run game, to come out, and granted, the Bucs are a much better run defense team than the Rams are, but to come out there firing, like pass. You say 55 passing attempts. Normally you see that in a game where team's down 21 points most of the game, right? You have to be passing the ball. The Lions were never in that position. They were never down more than one score in this football game. They could have been a more balanced team, and they should have been a more balanced team. As you said, right when Vita Vea comes out, it's like, okay, let's start attacking the middle of the field.
Attack the weakness, yeah.
And listen, the final rushing stat lines don't look bad. 27 rushes, 139 yards, 5-1 a carry. They were relatively successful. They weren't in some times, which I think is why maybe some of those drives came to an early end. Sometimes they would get themselves into a third and long and not be able to dig themselves out of it. But then I think when, to take coaching to the next level, and obviously my takeaway here is the red zone, right? The red zone offense, 1 out of 7 in terms of scoring a touchdown. They only score on 4 of 7 of those attempts, which is maybe an even worse problem, right? You should be scoring 90 to 95% of the time you're in the red zone. They only scored barely over half. Huge issue. And again, I have to point at least a little bit to the play calling there. They're trying to stretch things horizontally when this is a really fast, really talented Buccaneers defense, when you are a ground pound up the middle offense and you just got away from that identity for whatever reason. And listen, when you have double the yardage of the opponent, when you have 400 and change, 460, whatever it was, yards, that's the box score of a team that dominated a game. And that's what the Lions had a chance to do today. But their coaching held them back. And yeah, and their quarterback held them back. That is kind of the main 2 takeaways I had.
Yeah, it's coaching. I think that's where it starts first and foremost. And then it is the execution of those plays, namely the quarterback. The thing that was most frustrating to me was the sequence of Detroit first down at the Bucs 13-yard line, down 4 with 1:17 to go. This wasn't the same team that I saw in overtime a week ago. Because on the first play, what was it? A negative 4-yard air pass to the running back, lost 4 yards.
They knew that bubble screen the entire time, and they would just, yeah.
2nd and 14, a 5-yard air pass, gains 5 yards. 3rd and 9, what are we doing? Another screen pass that's 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage on 3rd and 9 that gains a yard. So your running back gains 6 yards because you're throwing these screen plays, and 4th and 8 is, and we'll get into the execution, a throw short of the sticks to the middle of the field where the Bucs were all over the place. And it's the sequencing. I see 55 pass attempts from Jared Goff. I'm not terribly upset about it. There were 27 rushing attempts. The problem is the running game should have been leaned on where the screens were happening. Like screen passes to Tim Patrick, screen passes to run. I'm starting to be a little bit concerned about Ben Johnson and utilizing running backs in the passing game. There's a little bit of concern there. I think even going back to last year, like we all expected a lot more out of Jahmyr Gibbs. We're expecting a lot more out of Jahmyr Gibbs this season. And I'm not seeing a ton of creativity in utilizing the running backs in the passing game because let's face it, Jared Goff, not the strongest arm in the NFL. So if you're throwing these little bubble screens and tunnel screens and things like that to the opposite side of the field to the boundary, and then you want your running back to make a play, it's tough. And I don't think Ben Johnson called his best game today by any means.
I think illustrative of that, Ryan, the last 2 Lions possessions. Now, granted, we have to give some credit to Tampa Bay allowing them to get the ball back, and credit to the Lions defense to helping get the ball back that quickly. But I was kind of shocked at the plays they were calling with very little time left on the clock. You're calling plays over the middle. I can't. I have to go back and watch Jared Goff's progressions, but there's definitely a lot of times where he's like forcing it to guys over the middle and burning off clock that you desperately need. And even that last pass, which was broken up, if that had actually gone into the hands of
Tom Kennedy,
of Tom Kennedy, it would have been 000s anyway.
Yeah, it was a hook and ladder play. I'm almost certain. Like Khalif Raymond was running behind him, and it was going to be a hook and ladder. I still like,
but there was no shots at the end zone.
I don't like that.
I don't either.
Right?
I don't
That's
either.
the Ben
right?
Johnson stuff,
right?
Right. Yeah.
And Jared Goff kept saying like, well, towards the end of in his post game press conference, like we really wanted to get inside the 20 because the percentage of success on throws inside the 20, inside the 10, increased a ton. But what's the success rate?
Didn't.
What the hell is the success rate of a hook and ladder? Like 0%? Like
it worked. It worked for Boise State.
Just take a freaking shot. Just give Sam Laporta a chance to get a jump ball. That is a much higher percentage play than this hook and ladder with Tom Kennedy. Like, what are you thinking?
JMO was on fire for you again today. Like, maybe him. I don't know. Sorry, go on, Ryan.
Jared Goff throwing the ball into like double and triple coverage with JMO a lot is not my favorite thing that he does as of late.
Yeah.
The other thing though is, to Jeremy's point, getting the ball to the end zone gives you an opportunity to do what the Kansas City Chiefs were just able to do. Right. Draw a penalty, draw a pass interference, get the ball on the goal line, and then guess what? Run power with David Montgomery, right? There's so much creativity in the running game. Like even the Gibbs, the
4th and 1 give that was by far Ben Johnson's best play, and it was brilliant, and it almost won the football game. Like he was very close to scoring on that play.
100% did. Awesome. The creativity in the running game is awesome. Then run the ball.
Right.
Yeah.
But Vita Vea is not on the field for half the game. Antoine Winfield is not on the field for the entire game.
And there were definitely plays where I felt like Tampa Bay was still stymieing the run game at points, definitely on a lot more east-west stuff. But again, to your point, Ryan, I'd rather take that over some of these screen passes they were doing near the end of the game. I let out a groan when I saw that, I think on a 3rd down. Like you're just wasting the down at that point. They're reading it the entire time.
Part of it is some stuff that we were getting on Hendon Hooker for in the preseason, but getting up to the line of scrimmage and running the play, there were at least 2 times today where it was early in the play calling. I think it was on 1st down where the play clock got to 2 or 1. It was so telegraphed that it was a running play, and it was stuffed for like negative yardage. And then
the safety is crashing down at the snap. Like can absolutely see it coming.
Daryl Johnston on the play-by-play is going, man, Gibbs, you have to see that guy coming. By the time Gibbs is getting the ball, he's like past Jared Goff. Like there's nothing that Jahmyr Gibbs can do. And I think that's a huge product of The defender, the safety who can crash down, sees the play clock. He knows they're going to run the play. If he's making a run fit, he's going to make a tackle for loss. So like again, that comes back to play calling, sequencing, and also execution. Like it was really bad on offense. It was really bad. Like the numbers don't say that. Yes, it was, Jeremy. 1 for 7 in the red zone.
It was bad in the red zone. No question.
That's where you make money.
Well, of course, but
But
here's the thing: if you're talking about a systemic problem, one bad day in the red zone does not have me worried long term at all. Like you still have JMO as a deep threat. You still have Jahmyr Gibbs putting up 6.5 a carry in this game. You still have Amon-Ra catching 11 passes for 120 yards. Do they need to be better in the red zone? Yes. Is that something that has consistently plagued this team since Ben Johnson's been here? Absolutely not. They've been a dominant red zone team.
Yep. Yeah, this was my biggest concern coming into the season, though, was Ben Johnson's third time around in the order.
So I don't know if they figured Ben Johnson out. That's what you're going with?
I'm not saying that right now, but I'm saying in the red zone, it hasn't been good. Like, so, I mean, they were 2 for 4 against the Rams. So you want to add all that up? That's 3 for 11.
That's not good.
That's question. Terrible. Yeah. That's bad. That's inexcusable for an offense that we were talking about being a top 3 offense. You can't do that. You can't do that.
But here's the thing. If they're continually moving the ball between the 20s, it's going to work itself out. It just is. That's how it works in the NFL.
That's what I mean.
Especially for a team that runs as much as they do, and it's such a good power team. Like, it's a bad day. Everyone can like go screaming that Ben and I'm not saying you're doing this, but I've certainly seen it on Twitter. I've seen like Ben Johnson is a fraud, blah blah. Like, y'all got to chill the F out.
I'm not saying that.
I just said you weren't saying that.
I know.
I think the people also need to chill out with the Jared Goff stuff. I know, like, I kind of get the reputation of Jared Goff hater. I've seen some people go.
Yeah, but that wasn't good today either.
No, it was not, and we're going to get into that. One thing I should probably do is, like, besides one real sticking point, I don't think any of us have really. This has been really offense focused on our takeaways. I feel like we don't have a lot to say. Like, the defense was fine.
The defense was really good.
It was really good. I know people, they see like a contained break or something, and they get frustrated with the defense and Aaron Glenn. You held the Buccaneers to 20 points. I will take that. And there were some drives, Ryan, where like the sacks coming from Aiden Hutchinson just snuff out the entire drive. Like, that's if you can fix these problems and you can lean your hat on the defense, that's good. That's really good. One other thing, and this kind of goes to the coaching snafus. There's not much to say, as Jeremy said, about what happened at the end of the first half. It's confusion. I've kind of rarely seen that stuff called. I'm not sure how far onto the field they even got. Or how they screwed.
They were
pretty far.
It was a disaster on the Lions sideline. This was not a bad call. It was a disaster on the Lions sideline.
Can I take one quibble with one more field goal decision though? There would have been like a 59-yarder for Jake Bates. I know that's tough to put him in that spot. I'm not used to seeing Dan Campbell in that moment decide to punt. And I think surrender index had it in a pretty high 99 some percentile.
I don't know.
I don't have a problem with that.
I don't have a
problem
really
with that punt. With the way the defense was playing today, right, Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, the defense was playing well. You pinned him inside the 10 with the punt. You got the ball back. Like, it worked out. Not to say that results necessarily mean that the decision was correct, but you guys know how I feel about Jake Bates, and putting that in his hands and potentially giving up really good field position to the Bucs if he misses was not what I was looking for. But if we want to touch, do we want to touch on the defense? Do we still have time before we go to the break here?
We should probably let's take a break. We can touch it. We did a lot of offense, so we'll touch on a couple individuals next segment, and then we can like flip over and talk a lot of defense because besides Aiden Hutchinson, who is phenomenal, there's still other good stuff to talk about the defense besides, I think, one nagging problem that seems to always happen with the Detroit Lions that we do want to talk about. But what we want to talk about with you right now is Righteous Felon, Craft Jerky, and Meat Sticks, because it's the jerky that fuels the Pride of Detroit POD cast. It is now the end, I believe, Jeremy, of the POD 20
I think that's right.
Promo code. Well, we'll have to double check. You missed it by that much, just like the Lions kind of missed this game by that much. But still, we have a 15% promo code for you because that's year round. That never stops. That never quits. And the Lions never quit. 2-ounce bags of jerky with 16 to 20 grams of protein, meat sticks with 8 grams, Righteous Felon based in Westchester, Pennsylvania with locally sourced all natural Black Angus beef, superior quality, revolutionary branding, unique flavors that go beyond the stereotypical jerky offering. And they've got something called Biltong.
Heck yeah.
That's like air dried jerky. It's really good, especially the Darth garlic. It's a lot of meat.
R.I.P. James Earl Jones.
R.I.P. to the man. You ever watch any of his Shakespeare, Ryan?
I would love to watch some of his Shakespeare cozied up on the couch with some Righteous Felon craft jerky. I think that would be the perfect setting and the way to celebrate the man's life and legacy.
Should show. I think he did like one of King Lear. You should show that to your the kids you teach.
Nah. I don't have that much money to hand out all that Righteous Felon craft jerky to all those kids. I'd love to feed them, but
you know what? You might be able to with our promo code POD15 is 15% off your order at checkout. And that is any size order, 1 bag, multiple bags, a whole crate,
get a variety
whatever.
pack.
You'll get variety packs, try them all, find flavors you love, come back. You'll find one in there. There's a lot of variety there. POD15 at checkout, POD15 at righteousfelon.com. When we come back on the Pride of Detroit POD cast, yes, we are going to have to talk about Jared Goff. There is some legitimate criticisms here on how he played. We also need to figure out where Sam Laporta's gone. And we need to talk about a monster game and an arrival of Aiden Hutchinson. We'll be right back on the Pride of Detroit POD cast. Hello, boys. Folks.
What's up, folks? Let me run through some alerts real quick, and then we can get to whatever y'all want to talk about. Chet's been really, really quiet, and there hasn't been a lot of all caps, so it seems like everyone's just a little bit bored.
I've seen a couple arguments, but I think we kind of are coming on late enough that everyone's kind of gotten the fire out.
And I love all of you in chat, but there's only 149 of you, 157 now.
Yeah,
so.
Pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers.
All right. Andrew Wallen-Gross, thank you for the 12-month full year subscribe to us over on Twitch. Appreciate you. J-Dubs, thank you for the 3-stream streak, as well as Thano TV as well. RGA 100-bit says, play the game for me was 1st and 10. Exactly what Ryan said. 1st and 10 at Tampa Bay's 13, a minute 17 left. No idea why they didn't try to run it with Monty there instead of a swing pass. Gibbs lost us 4 yards. It killed us. It's definitely a big play in the game for sure. 15 stream streak for JC 2533. Thank you. Although he made a fart noise. They made a fart noise. Das Gibb 35 months subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much.
I farted today too.
Congratulations. Cam James Kirk a bit. 19-bit says tough day, but it's only one game. Looking forward to the next week. Just shooting for 3-1 in each 4-game stretch. I would take that. Duckline 10 streams in a row says, I've watched you this many times. Hutch looked pretty good, right? Right? Sure did.
He is. He's really good.
Dan Campbell, 15 months subscribed to the channel. So I feel the same this year after 2 weeks as I did 2 weeks last year. That's probably fair, right? Big emotional opening week win followed by a emotional letdown.
Waiting for the flames to lick up from Ryan's feet.
100 bits from RGA says, I blame Madsim, reverse jinx, and silver pants mostly, though. Yep, Madsim is 0 for 2 and correctly predicting the outcome. Good for Madsim.
Fade the Madden sim this year. Okay.
3 stream consecutives from JT Sam says, any concern about run blocking? Felt like the interior couldn't consistently push the Bucs DTs even without Vea. I mean, I'd have to go back and watch, but no, not really.
They didn't really try much, I think is my issue. Like they never got a consistent ground and pound going. They weren't really trying to. And when they were running run plays, I don't think they were really trying to bully them with the offensive line.
So there were some run plays that were pissing me off The one
Yeah.
that stands out to me the most is the shotgun snap to Goff, where he like threatens like he's going to run the option because Jared Goff running around on the football field is something that the Lions apparently encourage
They're
now.
leaning into
And-
now.
And then it's a pitch to Gibbs and it's like plays dead. Like the threat of the whole reason that play works is because you have the threat of a mobile quarterback.
Right. It's a Hendon
Like-
Hooker play.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah. I don't know. To me, in general, the running was fine in this game, except for a couple times where they were too predictable in their looks, where, like you said, like the safety's crashing down at the snap, and Gibbs doesn't even have a chance.
Yeah.
dude, and what's last name Dennis was just a scud missile who was like wrecking havoc at the second level. Like he was making like TFLs all over the place. Whether they were on run plays or they're on, the swing passes or whatever, like credit where credit's due, man. Like that Bucs defense, like
Yeah.
it rose to the occasion constantly.
We had,
Four tackles
I guess
for
we had a
the
ringer at this game, and I think they got on the program Christian Isian, one of their safeties, who had like two passes batted away. Like, I think, who was that? Zion McCollum kept breaking up passes.
Yeah, I mean, Goff, we'll get into it, but Goff
Yeah.
did a lot of bad things in this game. Yeah, I don't know what else to talk in the break. I kind of want to just get right back into it, to be quite honest.
I mean,
Probably
I saw
should.
some people saying, "Hey, what about the refs?" I'm like, we could probably. I mean, I don't want to talk to the refs. I do want to quibble with at least one person. Again, I feel like I'm calling out some of our people, but like, I did see someone say like nobody wants to talk about a losing football team. It's 1-1. You want to see a losing football team? There are some teams in a lot worse situation, my brother.
The Ravens are 0-2.
Yeah.
I mean, the only team in the AFC North that's undefeated is the Pittsburgh Steelers, just like everybody had predicted.
Yeah. Your NFC North winner 2 weeks in is the Minnesota Vikings, just as we all predicted.
But also, it swings both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the sense of, as you were tallying your wins for the Lions this year, you went at least like they're going to get one out of the two, if not both of the first two games, right?
And this is so.
And
this is,
and if they don't, well, the Arizona Cardinals, that's like going to be well, wait a minute.
And this is the weird thing about the NFL, right? Because I know everyone today is now looking at the Cardinals game and saying, "Oh, yeah, that's going to be a loss." But like, I don't know. We've seen this every time, Ryan. Like the Cowboys looked like world beaters last week and just stomping all over the Browns, and the Saints held 40 on them.
I don't understand. The Saints don't make any sense. So, whatever. Like, but I don't know. Next week's going to be a huge test in and of itself because
First
you
road
know,
game
it's
too.
pretty easy to play offense, relatively speaking, because you're in Ford Field, going on the road. I mean, I know it's Arizona. I don't know what kind of fans they get in the desert, but
They're going to be pretty happy after this game, obviously. I don't know.
yeah.
I mean, listen, I looked at the first four set of those games, including the Seahawks on Monday night in a couple weeks here. And maybe this is me, accepting mediocrity, but I was like, if they come out 2-2, I'm okay with that.
It's a long season. I mean, that 2-2, and you've got 13 to play.
Yeah.
Like,
This was always a not easy start to the season, and yes, the Cardinals were the one where like, okay, that one might actually be a layup, which I always think is dangerous to say in the offseason when you don't know anything about any of these teams. But I don't know. I mean, like, still, like, you can look forward and yeah, the next, you got Cowboys and maybe the Vikings are a little bit tougher, but then you have the Titans, you got the Jaguars, you got the Colts. Like, they're going to be some easier games, but this was always going to be what we assumed to be a pretty tough schedule. The division's going to be tough. So then, I mean, they're not going to. There's a reason why I picked them to go 11-6 and still win the Super Bowl is because there's going to be bumps along the way. They're going to lose some football games, and that's okay.
speaking of the division, do you want to talk at all about your boy Malik Willis? Ryan?
Don't gotta talk about it. You can check.
12 of 14.
You can check the box score.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like he executed the game plan perfectly.
They ran the ball a lot in this game, though. Holy shit.
Holy shit! I wish the Lions would have done that.
53 times.
32 carries for Josh Jacobs alone.
Crazy.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, no.
Segment 2.
Yeah, I'm ready for
Let's
it.
blow
What do we
through it,
got?
man.
Let's talk about defense.
Let's talk about
We're going to
defense
talk a
and
little bit more offense, like individual players, and then go defense.
try to get this wrapped up in time. I know people want to
Cough,
get
probably.
to Sunday Night Football as well. Or maybe not. I tend to find that our audience does not care to watch more football after a loss.
Oh, I want to watch Caleb Williams get smacked around for sure.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting the Monday night game is tonight. I keep swapping the two.
What does that mean?
The what? The Sunday night game?
No, I kept thinking tonight was
Eagles,
Falcons,
Falcons.
and not
Gotcha.
Bears and
I can't say it real
Texans.
quick though.
Yeah.
The best Lions thing that happened to me this weekend was my father-in-law was getting rid of a lot of his hats.
Oh.
Look at this old school
Ooh.
camo hat.
You got bubbles on there, baby.
Bubbles. This
Old
is
bubbles.
guys, we're talking about like officially licensed merch from like way back when.
Or a brand I don't even recognize anymore.
And this camo hat actually provides me protection in Holly.
From the Bears?
I just look like one of them.
Oh.
All right.
Social camouflage, like Assassin's Creed. I get it. Okay.
Do 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 do. Can that take us back into the podcast? Smash cut John Cena.
Welcome back to the Pride to Detroit POD cast, breaking down this Lions loss here. Bitter as it is, although still early in the season. And I feel like we are not here to bury the Lions, just to try to figure out what went wrong and what is fixable. Promise some good news on the defense. Get to that in a little second. Let's finish clearing the plate on offense right now, because we've kind of danced around Jared Goff a little bit, but there's really no way around this, Jeremy. This was when was the last really bad game you feel Jared Goff had in Detroit? Because I have to go back
in Ford Field, or do you just mean like as a Lion?
That's a great distinction. I think I meant as a Lion.
For me, it's the Bears game.
I was going to say
season.
both the Bears games. Listen, I think Jared Goff struggles against good linebacking cores. I really do think it, because, you know, it covers up some of the middle of the field. I think occasionally he has a tendency to overlook them. Not saying that's necessarily what happened in this game. I think it was a matter of the Buccaneers got to Jared Goff a lot. You know, no sacks on the day, but 10 quarterback hits from the Bucs defense. And once like Goff has that reflex going where he expects to get hit, which I think happened in this game, like he loses it. He loses like everything. He loses his composure. He loses his ability to go through his progressions. He was getting the ball out way too quick at times. He was being extremely reckless with the ball that, you know, 2 interceptions on the day. The first one certainly wasn't his fault, and you can blame officiating if you want, but I think the Lions have graduated beyond the point of one bad call excusing a loss. He could have had
his footwork too.
Yeah. Yes. And like he is the worst at I was gonna say he's the worst at throwing the ball away, but Will Levis is very clearly the worst at throwing the ball away.
When you have your coach walking on the field mouthing, "What the F are you doing?"
Right. And so it was one of those days where the pressure got to him, and Jared Goff has this, you know, reputation of if you pressure him, he's going to make a lot of mistakes, and for a while, it felt like he had worked through that, right? It felt like, oh, you don't want to blitz Jared Goff. He'll pick you apart. This was a step back in there where it was just he kept getting hit. And anytime there was a blitz coming from any level, whether it was going to get picked up by a linebacker or a tight end or the offensive line was taking care of it, the clock just accelerated super fast for him, and he was inaccurate. He was throwing off his back foot. He wasn't going through his right progressions. He was forcing the ball where he necessarily didn't have to, and it was just a really bad performance.
Yeah. I don't want to say, going back to what we were talking about earlier in the chat, everybody was saying that mom and dad were fighting. Like, I'm not saying that the league has figured out Jared Goff. I'm not saying that the league has figured out Ben Johnson. Those two are inextricably linked, though, right?
Sure.
And it's like Ben Johnson feeds the game plan to Jared Goff. It's his turn to execute, right? And we talked about the play calling being a problem. The footwork thing is really concerning because when he does start quote unquote seeing ghosts and he starts throwing off his back foot, we know that Jared Goff doesn't have the strongest arm in the NFL. That's okay. You can win without the strongest arm in the NFL. The
He's
problem
got
is
receivers to make it work. Yeah.
when you're trying to overcompensate and you're putting yourself at a disadvantage where you already aren't very strong getting the ball out and you're throwing off your back foot and you're doing off platform stuff and you're not being you, that's when almost interceptions happened. Amon-Ra St. Brown broke up another interception today.
He did.
Where he batted a ball that was a slant or a dig over the middle of the field. I can't remember, but it was a ball that was thrown to Amon-Ra St. Brown, and he had to make a diving play to get the interception out. There was another play that was an almost interception. There were two interceptions that happened. Like Jeremy said, the first one, whatever, it sucks. It happens. But I mean, I think the Lions got the benefit of a pass interference call later in the game. The second interception, though, we got to figure out what happened on that one. Miscommunication or what? Because there were three Bucs defenders in the middle of the field, and there were no Detroit Lions.
He was just looking for someone there. That was, I don't know if someone just didn't run the route, but also like you should have probably better vision than that to begin with.
Or
That's
just better
part of-
decision making. Like
Yeah,
take
That's what
the
I
sack.
think. Yep.
Because
Yeah.
I believe that was on a second down, if I'm
you're
not
right.
mistaken.
Yes.
Because I very much feel like Daryl Johnson was talking about, if I recall correctly, like take that sack and live for third down. Like you'll figure it out on third down. If you make up enough yardage, you have Dan Campbell, who you might go for it, right? Like
Mhm.
I think Chris, though, to your point, the original question about Jared Goff and when was the last time he turned into a pumpkin, so to speak. This is the days since Jared Goff had a pumpkin experience. Like I think
Reset the clock.
we reset the clock. Today is when he turned into a pumpkin. Next week he's got to be Prince Charming.
Yeah. And again, like going to my point off the top as well, like I think one of the things that has kept Jared Goff at least stable through a lot of this time has been having, you don't ask him to carry the game. You shouldn't ask a lot of quarterbacks to carry the game and have 55 passing attempts. You should have something a little more balanced because we've always said we've looked through all those past years with Jared Goff. We looked at his whole career and he likes the complementary run game. And it just was not here. It wasn't here for this. You mentioned Amon-Ra St. Brown and someone who came off. I know he was on a bit of a milk carton last week. I think I theorize at least that he had been like planned out by the Rams defense in that game. In this game, targeted 19 times. 11 catches, 119 yards. Welcome back, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Welcome back, Sun God.
Can I be quite honest though? 19 is too many targets.
That's what I mean. Like it feels like Jared Goff was kind of forcing it to him at points.
It's
Overdoing it.
It's security blanking to an extreme, and it's why you got to get a guy like Sam Laporta more involved. I need to go and watch Sam Laporta's routes because it does not seem like. I mean, he's a capable guy of running 15, 20-yard routes, and it just feels like everything's a 7-yard curl with him right now. And it's just like, that is not playing to his strengths. That is playing to the Bucs' strengths, by the way. And so, I mean, I don't know. I'm speaking based on my live viewing. Maybe it's going to look different if I go out there and watch. And listen, we can't. I said this last week. We can't sit here and be like, man, this guy didn't get enough targets. Man, this guy didn't get enough targets. It's going to get spread around week by week. So it's going to be one guy's turn this week. It's going to be another guy's turn next week. I understand that. But they're all like, we also don't have to do this to the extreme where it's like Jamo's going to get 11 targets in the first game. Amon-Ra is going to get 19 in the second game. Like, we can do like an 8 for him and an 8 for him and 4 for him. Like, it just seems a little extreme right now where it's like, we're really going to get St. Brown going, and it doesn't matter who else is in the game.
Well, okay, I agree. The sequence early in the game where it was the Amon-Ra drive, right? You had like 4 catches, like all like kind of chunk gainers or real big positive plays, moving the offense along. That's great. Like, and I think Dan Campbell talks about that. Like, there's certain situations where it's more Jahmyr Gibbs, it's more David Montgomery when he's talking about the running game.
Yep.
I don't mind if there's a drive where it's like, you know what? We're going to really try to exploit whatever Amon-Ra has. And then as soon as everybody's like, man, Jared Goff will, target Amon-Ra St. Brown 19 times in a game, then that's when you can go to somebody else. But the Sam Laporta stuff isn't concerning to me in the sense that I think that, they know how to cover him or there's a sophomore slump or anything. I think I agree with what you're saying, Jeremy. Like, you're playing into the Tampa Bay's strengths if you want to just sit him, tell him to find a soft spot in the zone and sit there and try to, be a stationary target. I think that's a guy that you want, catching the ball. And like, that's what we loved about Sam Laporta last season was like all the yak opportunities he had.
Right.
And I mean, he did have one of my favorite moments of the game when he got the first down and he did the little
While he was on the ground.
While he was on the ground.
Yeah, that's great.
But yeah, you need more Sam Laporta. And to Chris's point, like from the very top, you just need more balance in your offense.
Yeah. Because I thought, Jahmyr Gibbs was effective in this game, ultimately, averaged 6.5 yards per carry. Like, and there's definitely probably a lot more opportunities you could have probably gotten David Montgomery involved. But who also got involved in that run game though was Jamison Williams, and wasn't on a milk carton last week and continues to be a critical part of this offense. Jeremy, another over 100-yard scrimmage game for JMO.
Yeah, it wasn't all positive. I think there were a couple miscommunications or again, like this is what you get from JMO, where it's just like
not 100.
It's he had 100 total.
Did he?
Yeah, he had 80. No, you're right. He's just short.
No, it was like 94.
94. Either way.
Yeah.
But, there are times when it just looks like he's an absolute weapon. He catches another 50-yard bomb in this one. And yeah, I think he's good for one end around a game, and that seems to be working well. But there are times where it's just like a throw between him and Goff is just not even close. And you're like, I can't sit here and tell you whose fault it is. But again, like, it's just that chemistry is still not where it needs to be 100% of the time. And no one's going to be 100% accurate. But I don't know. There's just times where I'm just like, why do weird things like this only seem to happen when he's targeting JMO? And I don't know. I'm not trying to throw JMO under the bus. Like, he's already outperformed, I think, most of our expectations through 2 games, and that's good. But he kind of disappeared in the second half too a little bit, right? Like, when this team needed a big play.
Aside from making that huge block on Levante David
on
the Jahmyr Gibbs play,
right?
Like that was clutch. And again, that's him like making a play away from catching the ball, and that's
right.
I think there's way more positive with JMO, right? Like, I don't think we're getting at that. Like, there's way more positive than negative with JMO. The thing that I think Goff gets in trouble with JMO is if JMO's running a corner or he's running a curl to the boundary, those are tough throws for Jared Goff to make.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you talk about the arm strength stuff, and you talk about when he's, trying to throw off his back foot, and it's like, if that's happening, like, it's just a tough throw for him to make.
Yeah. I mean,
Tim Patrick, first down.
Hey, listen, Tim Patrick played a lot in this ball game. I would say probably at least half the offensive snaps are close to it. And so I think that's a pretty clear sign he's eventually going to be part of this team. It did look like late in the game he was a little confused about what he was doing. So, I mean, you can't completely fault him. And I think the lines were probably, I don't know if that was after Amon-Ra was already out of the game with an injury. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. There's going to be some bumps in the road for a guy that's only been here for 3 weeks. But I think he's probably here to stay and eventually going to get the call up to the 53 and probably get a lot of playing time going forward. And hopefully he emerges as a red zone threat, right? Like, he's a 6'5", 210 guy. Yeah. He's something that the Lions could really use in the red zone. And that's why I'm like, okay, let's see this one play out. I mean, that's why he's here, right? To play that X, we know how many times Josh Reynolds caught a ball in the back of the end zone. That's going to be the Tim Patrick play this year. And it's at least good that he got in a ton of reps in this game.
One last question then for the offense, and this can just be real quick, yes, no, because I know I'm tapping my watch and saying we need to go on to the defense. Yes, no, or like maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do the Lions at this point probably miss Josh Reynolds? Because we talked about it before. I see a lot of fans constantly bring it up. I think they've got other options, but they're still looking for that option right now. But how much would a Josh Reynolds helps with something like a red zone offense? That's an I don't know.
4 out of 10. Like,
Okay.
yeah, I think they're missing him a little bit, but I think they're going to be missing him less and less as the year goes on. I'm not hugely worried about it because
right now, this is all eminently fixable.
I still ultimately am in. Like, I know this is going to sound crazy to a lot of people, but I think I'm ultimately encouraged mostly about the offensive performance today. I know that sounds crazy on a 1 of 7 red zone performance, but if you could, I'm telling you, if you move the ball consistently between the 20s, everything's going to be fine.
In an offense that has David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporte and Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown, like, I'm not worried. Like, Josh Reynolds, who?
Yeah.
They got Sammy figure it out.
They punted twice in this game. That's all I have to say. And the Bucs punted 5 times.
And a wonderful
blows my mind
punt.
that you lose that game.
I'm
just saying, like, if you look at the box score of this game, it blows my mind that the Lions lost this game. It does not make any sense.
They converted 2 4th downs on a drive where they punted.
that's insane.
Yeah, that's an aberration. That's an aberration.
That's how I'm going to take this game. And maybe it's me being naive. Maybe this is me being optimistic where, drinking the Honolulu Blue Kool-Aid. But I think Ben Johnson has done enough over 3 years to earn our trust and for us to believe that he's going to turn around a relatively slow start at the beginning of the year where things are sloppy around.
Let's talk some good stuff. Let's talk defense. Rip the Band-Aid off right now. Aiden Hutchinson.
Some fans. 3 sacks in the first quarter is pretty good.
Yeah. 3 sacks, 3 drives. 3 sacks, 3 drives. I think that was the point where Lions fans want to start the depoy campaign right now.
John Ledyard, his first bite prediction, or the one thing he thought he knew, was that Aiden Hutchinson would get 3 sacks. I didn't know if that was going to happen in the first 10 minutes of the game, but I mean, incredible stuff, right? Like, I don't want to blow past Aiden Hutchinson. I thought the defense was really, really good. Like, really, really good. But I think that I want to give, like, so much credit to Levi Onwuzurike too, because that dude was when Hutch was in the fifth
sack, yeah.
Well, when Hutch was in the backfield, Levi was in the backfield.
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot of interior pressure that was collapsing the pocket and making Baker do stuff that ultimately cost them in some spots. I don't know if it's necessarily mobile quarterbacks that kill the Lions, or if it's just like defenders getting too far upfield, and then it doesn't matter who you are, you can run.
Yeah. We'll hit that point a little bit later, but I think kind of the thread I put between Onwuzurike and Hutchinson playing well, Jeremy, is this is the effect of DJ Reader in the lineup.
Possibly. I mean, I have to go back.
I'd like to think it is. It feels like they're getting better pressure up the middle.
Yeah.
And it's all complimentary at this point.
Well, I think Levi, again, to a lesser extent, but also some extent, Derek Barnes, I thought both did a relatively good job helping the Lions manage being without Marcus Davenport, because Davenport had a really good week 1, and I think was helping feed some of that pressure to Aiden Hutchinson. But like you were saying, Ryan, at least on 2 of his sacks, Aiden Hutchinson doesn't get it without Levi bringing pressure from the other side. And man, like, they had Baker on the run a lot in this game. He was certainly holding onto the ball a lot longer than Matthew Stafford was last week. 5 total sacks on the day, 4.5 from Aiden, and how many QB hits total? Actually, the crazy thing though is Aiden Hutchinson is the only one who notched any
quarterback hits,
and all 5 of them he turned into sacks or half sacks. So there's room to grow there. But if we want to bring in, the mobile quarterback thing, again, I don't have that many concerns. That is just something you have to deal with in the game today. And go watch what he did to Washington last week. It was 10 times worse than this. Mayfield just makes plays with his feet sometimes, and R.I.P. to Malcolm Rodriguez's ankles, because that was pretty bad. But listen, some quarterbacks are more athletic than linebackers. It's just how it works. And the Lions weren't about to go spy. And even if they did, is Malcolm Rodriguez a spy? Well, he gets his ankle broken in either way. So I don't know. I don't think I'm overly concerned about the lookout for the mobile quarterback thing, because they got to him 5 times.
Yeah, no, I'm not concerned about it either. But I'm ready to do away with mobile quarterbacks hurt the Lions, because like we saw Geno Smith do it And Geno Smith is not the mobile quarterback that everybody, typecasts him to be. If we want to talk about other defensive stuff though, Chris, or if you want to stay with Aiden Hutchinson
Well,
or
I think that's part of like I think what you're aiming towards, right, is talking about you think the defensive line is just getting it's not a mobile quarterback thing, it's the line's getting too far upfield in their pressure to get to the quarterback.
yeah, I mean, but I think though Jeremy like he has a salient point, right? Like it happens in the NFL, but
Yeah.
there's I the really good thing though about this week is that they did it last week with Marcus Davenport. They did it this week without Marcus Davenport, and I would not say that Baker Mayfield felt very comfortable at all during the football game.
No.
So I'm very encouraged by the pass rush. I'm
No.
pretty bummed out that at the second level of the defense, it's more bad from Malcolm Rodriguez because he's the one who hit Anzalone before he went out for concussion protocol. It was some friendly fire from Malcolm Rodriguez on I believe it was Baker's touchdown scramble.
I got really worried when Anzalone left the game, but I still think up to the final drives, the defense comported itself very well. Even getting in Baker's face on like they decided to pass on what was it, the third down that could have iced the game, and like they just ran right up and just swatted it away.
Yeah, good play by
Like
Barnes
I think
there.
even like the defense gave the offense a chance to win this game multiple times near the end.
Well, right. all the opportunities.
All the opportunities.
There was such a chance for poetic end to that game if Derek Barnes would have just been able to
Picked it
somehow go up in the air and pick it off.
Do it
and run
again
it
to
in.
Baker.
Oh my God.
Become
That
his
would have been
least favorite player.
fantastic. Yeah.
I mean, even if like that pass breakup would have led to the game tying score, you could be like, well, Baker Mayfield's last throw in both games lost them the football game due to Derek Barnes.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm extremely happy with the front seven. I really am, and I'm throwing the linebackers in there too because the run game again, like completely shut out. Like
Yes.
you look at the running backs in this game: Bucky Irvin, K. Dotton, and
Now, Rashad White did leave the game.
he came back.
He did come back. Okay,
Yeah.
I missed that.
But
Okay.
but Bucky Irving and Rashad White combined for 17 carries, 40 yards, just barely over 2 yards a carry. Like that
Lions
is
made another team one-dimensional. They made
Absolutely.
him more one-dimensional
They did.
again.
And honestly, the Bucs play calling on offense, I thought kind of kept the Lions in the game at times where they were just insistent on running the ball. They would get into these third and longs, and the Lions would pin their ears back and either bat down a pass or get a sack. I will say I'm not happy yet with the secondary. Mostly, there's good things, right? Brian Branch to me,
What a play!
what a play.
I'm bought in. Like I did not think I was going to be bought in moving him to safety. I didn't love taking him away from, the line, putting him in the box. He's getting a lot of opportunities to make plays, and he's making a lot. I think that's been a great move. I think he looks fantastic. The outside corners is where I'm still not happy.
Yeah,
And-
I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, look, man. I think we need to once again reset our expectations on quarterbacks transitioning to the NFL because Terry and Arnold, for another game, you look at him as like, man, you're not playing at Alabama right now, man. Like he had a really rough penalty, correct?
Two of them.
I'm not
Two more
two
pass
big-
interference and a
yeah.
face mask.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
face mask was the one I was forgetting. But like, you have two big penalties. You're just kind of struggling out there a little bit. I'm not going to throw him completely under the bus, but like, look, we talk about this all the time on how cornerback is hard to get up to the NFL level. I think our expectations, we pinned a lot on a rookie cornerback right now, and he's playing like most rookie cornerbacks do right now, just getting up the speed and seeing a lot faster guys than he's used to. But you're right, it's not just Arnold, it's everyone else out there that's just kind of struggling.
Harry and Arnold, he was also on the side of the field where there was the blown coverage for the Chris Godwin touchdown. He was the guy outside, and he got some eye candy on Mike Evans in the slot, and there was a safety there to take care of Mike Evans, and Terry and Arnold's eyes got a little bit too big for him, and wide open Chris Godwin. So not a great start for Terry and Arnold. Also, really tough to play. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing to have like a swatting device basically on one of your hands because he injured his finger in this game.
Right.
But like I don't know if that was going to be helpful or if it's so hard to catch a ball like that or to make a play. But pass breakups, I'll take pass breakups and I'll take less hands on defense. You want to call it a ticky-tack call on the defensive pass interference.
I do.
But I'm also going to say that they're going to call stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the reality of the NFL, and
I'm more annoyed it just wasn't called the other way later on.
The thing that has me hopeful for Terrion is a couple times he's gotten called for pass interference, maybe 2 out of the 3 times. He was in good position. He was right there with the receiver. He was in phase. He was there, able to make a play. It's just a matter of getting that head turned around. In this case, his hands got a little high and hit the guy in the face or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're like, this is much different than some of the issues that our old corners are having, where it's just like they are just getting cleanly beat, and that did happen a little with Terrion. I mean, he's going up against Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. They're good players. You're not going to win every rep, but if you take away those deep shots like that, that's something that the Lions weren't getting last year. It's something they've been getting since Darius Slay was in town. And so I'm not overly concerned. It's just a rough start for him so far. I don't think the film's going to be particularly kind to him on this day. But, like, the pass interference stuff doesn't bother me at all. I think he's going to get that worked out. It's going to be fine. I think he's been the victim of a couple ticky-tack calls. And let me say here again, there should absolutely never be something that is a 40-yard penalty. Please, for the love of God, I'm going to scream from the top of the hills until I am dead. Get rid of the spot foul pass interference. It's garbage. It's absolutely garbage because pass interference is the toughest play to officiate in the NFL, and being able to put someone on the goal line after throwing it from the 50-yard line on a very subjective call is straight up BS. Get that out of the game.
Bam. We got a few minutes left, so let's talk about Jake Bates.
Perfect Jake Bates. Put some respect on that guy's name.
Put some respect on him. I wanted to see him try the 59-yarder. I did.
He's hitting all those field goals that you need a kicker to make, right? Like,
the ones he was missing in preseason.
all that stuff. Yeah, the short ones, extra points. He's hitting all of them.
I thought if we're on special teams, I don't have much to say about Jake Bates except, hey, you've done everything that they've asked you to. Great job.
No, I mostly want to bring up special teams because I want to give Phip some flowers on handling the fake punts. That was to do it inside your own 19 too.
Insanity. And shout out to Dave Burkett, who said watching the film last week that, like, look at Sione Vaki right here. If some team gets too aggressive on the edge, he's going to leak out and they're going to throw a touchdown or throw a pass to him. And didn't even take a full week for the Lions to go ahead and do that. I will say I'm going to be very interested to see what the Lions do next week on kick return, because I think the Bucs figured something out a little bit against them. And they're like, oh, you're going to put Tom Kennedy out there to return kicks?
Yeah, I'm not. That's not a fan.
Put Vaki there. Put Khalil Dorsey there. Put someone who's just like, I mean, here's the thing. Once Isaiah Williams is healthy and Tim Patrick's on the 53, we're probably not going to see Tom Kennedy out there anymore. He already has 2 out of his 3 elevations used. But I don't think we need to see Tom Kennedy out there on kick return. Like, I know you're trying to get the ball
on
to
fourth
Khalid.
Down.
Well, when Amon-Ra's hurt, I don't know what else.
No.
Sione Vaki. I don't know.
That was. I'm sorry. I didn't have anywhere else to put this point. I'm only now remembering it too. The healthy scratches. I think we talked about it last week, Jeremy, that it felt like that was kind of part of or I might have talked about it on a preview podcast, I forget, that it felt like that was kind of part of a strategy of the Lions, that they wanted to just carry more secondary personnel. And this game, when I saw Rakestraw on the inactives, I felt like that was more like, okay, well, they're going to bring more. They're going to bring more DTs. They're going to bring more.
There was actually an explanation of that in.
Oh, we did get one. Okay.
Yeah, so Dan said that actually in warmups, Rakestraw suffered an injury, a hamstring injury.
Oh, yes, I did see that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And that happened like right. I think he described it as literally like 3 or 4 minutes before they had to submit inactives, and so it sounds like it's a minor injury. They were just at a point where, like, we don't know at this point how serious this is, so we're going to play it safe and you're going to be inactive.
Yeah.
I think he called it a minor hammy, so I think there's a good chance you see Rakestraw out there next week and it'll be fine. But, like, they were under the gun and they didn't want to have a situation where they had an injured guy active.
Especially since, and I should have talked about this in the defense thing, very silent day for... Well, did James Houston, was he in on a snap at all, Jeremy?
He was.
Yeah.
Not,
He was.
not a ton, but he was out there.
Yeah.
And I don't think he did anything. He
did nothing in this
wager to
game.
guess it was
No.
under 10 snaps in this game, and I don't think he recorded a stat.
I think he was out there for pretty much third down plays. But I thought it was interesting, like the 5-man fronts where they have Levi, DJ head up on the center as the 0, and Aleem McNeil. That's like a massive humanity in the middle of guys who can push the pocket, like viably, like push the pocket all the time.
Yep.
And it seemed like they found a pretty healthy rotation of getting. They got some other guys in the mix too for DJ when he would spell out. Like Pecco was out there. They got some guys rotated in there, but like when they have those 3 guys and they put 5 up front, like you're stress testing an offensive line in a way that I don't know if a lot of other teams can say that.
Yeah.
That's going to help the back end.
No question. And I think that's maybe the takeaway for defense is like they're really good on the interior. Aiden Hutchinson's a beast. So now they're at a point where they're still really good at defending the run. They have a good pass rush now. That alone is like huge, right? You're getting into a lot of 3rd and longs because you're great on 1st and 2nd down because you can stop the run. Then you're pinning your ears back. You have good pass rush. You have a defensive end who's going to finish with double-digit sacks and then some. And then you have a playmaker in Brian Branch, and the rest of it, everyone else there is still trying to figure it out. But that first 2, the front 7 can cover up a lot, and I think you've seen that. I mean, listen, they've only given up 20 points a game in both games. 20 points, 20 points. If they finish the year with 20 points per game allowed, this team is going to win more than 11 ball games. They're going to be fine.
Yeah, they'll be fine. Final notes before we move on to Arizona.
That was my final note. I was dropping the mic on that.
Well, I guess to add to Jeremy's point, you really want to hope that Alex Anzalone makes his way through concussion protocol in a timely manner because, again, I think it's really interesting that Malcolm Rodriguez is playing as much as he is when you have Jack Campbell. I don't know. Just like some food for thought.
Yeah.
My final
two
note.
tackles for loss today for Jack, though.
Yeah.
Made some plays.
Mm-hmm.
My final note remains the note, as it will be probably every week this year. Neander ball. I want Neander ball. I want to run the ball.
And
Good
you don't
things
care
happen.
who knows it?
Yeah, I don't care who knows it at all. All right, guys, we've got a busy week coming up here on the Pride of Detroit POD cast. Another midweek mailbag, I believe, Jeremy.
Yep. We'll be recording that Tuesday afternoon up on the podcast feed Wednesday.
That's right. And we will have another Purview podcast. I think probably we'll record that on a Thursday this week. But I got to juggle the rotating cast. Thanks to everyone who's been giving feedback on those so far. We have First Bite up on Pride of Detroit Direct and a lot more to come because the season's early and there's plenty to do. So from myself, Chris Perfett, from Jeremy Reisman, from Ryan Matthews, we say to you, as always, that we will see you Starside.
Recording stopped.
I missed a juicy Caleb Williams sack, apparently.
And also a subsequent doink off the crossbar. Oh, no, that doinked off the camera.
Oh, jeez.
In the... it's 3-3.
Yeah, I was about to say he's 5 for 5, and then I saw the sack.
Sorry, Thomas. We closed things out there. think we wanted to get a little in and out quickly today. I still have a bunch
That's
to write
what
today.
a hamburger's all about.
Plus, I think we all need a little Schadenfreude with the Bears tonight. Hoping for them to
That could
lose because,
backfire.
listen, the NFC North won today. The Vikings took it to the 49ers. I'm going to be eager to go back and see what the hell happened in that game.
I'm genuinely curious how long this lasts for I cannot believe Sam Darnold has purchase. Although, did Justin Jefferson come back in the game?
No, but it sounds like it's
no.
not a serious injury.
Okay.
A
Good.
thigh contusion is, I think, what I saw on Twitter.
Yeah.
So he might miss a game or two, but I think Jefferson even said he doesn't expect to miss one. So
Is there another wide receiver in the league that is that independent from whoever is throwing him the ball, Ryan? Because I don't know. I saw, I mean, I'm grading on a fantasy curve. I saw people in fantasy putting Tyreek Hill up on the trade block just because they're like, okay, well, Tua can't throw him the ball now. But like, it doesn't matter who Tyreek has under center. He's gonna get the ball and he's gonna get, a 97-yard touchdown.
Skylar Thompson gonna do that? I don't know. You just can't throw anybody out there.
No, but I
not just anybody.
Sorry, did I accidentally say I meant
no.
Jefferson.
You said Tyreek. So
I meant Jefferson, excuse me. But I said people are like wanting to trade Tyreek in fantasy because they don't know who's going to throw him the ball. But I'm saying that's never a problem for Jefferson. It's never a problem who Jefferson's quarterback is.
again, I think it's weird that you're hating on the USC quarterback, especially one that Matt Mayoko loves. Had an opportunity to unseat Brock Purdy last season in training camp. Have you seen the 97-yard touchdown to Justin Jefferson?
Yes.
I would like you to watch that play and look at the incredible job that the ref does at playing defense. And by saying playing defense, I mean like blocking for Justin Jefferson. The ref, I'm not kidding. This is one of the fastest referees I've ever seen in my entire life. Jefferson makes the catch. The referee is at a complete stop, goes 0 to 60 to get right in the way of the defenders as Justin Jefferson reverses field to go run for the goal line. Look at the play. Can you pull it up on stream?
Yeah.
I want to watch it together. Watch this referee. Incredible work there to have a 12th guy in the field for the Minnesota Vikings on that play.
You're talking about this guy right here.
I'm talking about that ref.
He looks like he's a lead blocker, like he's about to go in and block. But he doesn't.
He's looking at the 49ers. Aren't you supposed to be watching the ball carrier?
He's moving. No doubt about it.
Man.
Okay, because the other thing is the only thing I can say is, he's hurrying up to try to get to the goal line to make a judgment at the goal line, but then there's a goal line judge over there, on the by the pylon.
I don't know. It's just run, Forrest, run at that point, I guess. I don't know.
You told your buddies last night in the group chat that you were going to go stride for stride with Jetta, and congratulations, you did it.
Yeah. Speaking of officiating,
direction 10 out of 10 first round draft.
Speaking of
the way he flipped his hips,
he did flip the hips.
Speaking of officiating and Jeremy's bugaboo of spot fouls and how games are called, man, I know it's very easy to say the Chiefs are getting all the calls, but that DPI at the end of the game, I don't know what else you're supposed to call there, man. I'm sorry. I don't know what else you're supposed to fucking call there.
Everybody's piling on Tom Brady. Tony Romo is awful.
Oh, Tony Romo's been down the shitter for a while.
Right. But he questioned if that pass was catchable. It bounced off the defender's face mask. So, okay. All right, Tony. And then 2, I hate how he was kind of openly talking about yeah, that's the kind of play you make because you're hoping for a DPI. I'm like, dude, that's such a lame thing to say. And it goes to Jeremy's point of please get rid of spot fouls.
Yeah.
I don't know. If there's a DPI in that situation, it's 4th and 16. Automatic first down, that's fine. Give them 15 yards. You gave the Chiefs the game, but
what's the Jane Coaston line? The all PI offense.
Right. I mean, listen. Terry and Arnold better get it sorted out before we play the Green Bay Packers because Green Bay is going to get at least 3 30-yard penalties. I will say it on the Chiefs one too. Yes, he was early, but I kind of hate the idea of your defender trying to make a play on the ball and you're the receiver is in between. He was trying to get the ball. He wasn't trying to affect the receiver. If he's just tackling the receiver in that instance, sure. But he is trying to grab the ball over the receiver, and I understand that's technically not allowed, but I don't know, man. You're making it impossible to play defense.
Yeah. Well, I think to that point, Jeremy, there are a few like missed flags if you want to blame the referees, but like there are some bang plays in the Lions game where like I thought like a Bucs defender got to a Lions receiver early, and like technically, yeah, were they early, but I also thought that they were breaking on the ball, and it's like I didn't want to call that DPI because I don't want it called DPI on the Lions.
DPI is the worst. I hate it as like it's necessary obviously as a penalty, but it can impact the game way too much. It impacted the Lions game.
Just not going away.
Won the game for the Chiefs. It's just there has to be a way to officiate that in a way that is not so harmful to the defense when it is such a like bang call, very subjective. It's too hard.
But they want it to be harmful for the defense, I think, at this point. They want it to be harmful because offense sells.
But do you think like they wanted the Chiefs game to end as it did on a penalty?
I think they need to start getting it in its like the closest we got to any kind of reform was what happened. What was it? Rams Saints in the playoffs that one year.
Yeah,
that gave
NFC championship game.
Yeah. And what did that give us? They gave us fucking like we're all right. Fine, we'll review pass interference, and then that went nowhere. It's like the solutions are right there. They just don't want to go for it.
The game technically ended on a Harrison Butker field goal that led to a shot of Taylor Swift celebrating in the press box. So tinfoil hats in the chat. I think the NFL got exactly what they wanted.
Yeah.
I shared probably one of the greatest interceptions that I've ever seen. Did you guys see the Cam Taylor-Britt interception on the sideline?
I only saw it because you just
I
sent it to
did.
me.
Great googly moogly. That thing is juicy. That was
Fantastic.
If you haven't seen it.
OBJ level.
Again.
Like, if a Lions cornerback makes that kind of play this year, I'll be Hamza on stream. No shirt.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm look at 61 here. Like he's losing his mind, and I think he's getting his helmet because he knows he has to go back on.
Yeah, he's and number 87 on the sideline is losing hit. Like he's almost on the field.
Yeah.
This
you
guy
guys
right
see
here.
The only
Yeah.
other thought I
Oh,
had
right
from the
here.
late games is just God. Sean Payton is such a jackass.
What happened? Oh, sorry, Sean Payton.
No, Sean Payton is just such a jackass.
Oh.
I don't know if you saw what he did. What he Locke got called for again. Just kind of he got called for I think a targeting. Like he got called for a targeting where it's like okay, you're like running at a guy who's going down. It's kind of hard to avoid. It was a really hard to avoid play. Like just really rough. They're talking about it at CBS. Like what can you really do in that spot? But you got to call it. And like Locke's clearly frustrated with everything. And then like maybe he was mad at him like taking off his helmet or something. But like
Well, he
Peyton
took
was-
off his helmet and slammed it on the ground.
slammed
as he
it.
was
Maybe
walking
that's
off the
why.
field.
Maybe that's why Peyton was reading him the riot act. But it was just like, dude, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't.
but also like technically shouldn't that be a penalty?
Well,
Like,
done.
that's
I guess he got
unsportsmanlike
away-
conduct.
He got away with that. there.
Taking your helmet and slamming it. But speaking of unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, did you see the Jamar Chase one?
I did
that was
see
a
the
that was a
Jamar
huge
Chase.
one. That cost him
What
big
is he
time.
thinking? Yeah.
Like, so Jeremy, like Jamar Chase just got defended on a play, and Jamar Chase did not like how maybe the way that it was defended, and then he just got up in a referee's face, and it was like, boom, flag, like 15 yards, and we're moving you way back, and that put them at like third and like
Took him out
beyond.
of field goal range. Yeah.
It did, yeah. So that was
At
Mm.
0-2, it does not feel like there's a path. Like I could see the Ravens coming back from 0-2. I don't see the path for the Bengals at this point.
I mean, when you have your star receiver taking out a $50 million insurance policy on himself because your owner is cheap,
But also, like
we're
through
not
two
trending in the
games-
right direction.
through two games so far. Burrow is not playing well.
It's tough to go into Kansas City. I mean, they definitely played better than they did last week. But that defense
against the
is the one.
Patriots.
Hey, put some respect on their name.
You know what? No, I had so one of the radio shows I do on the weekend, one of the hosts is a former Patriots O lineman, and he was talking up. It's like, look, this is going to be a little bit not as bad as people think for the Patriots. They've got some continuity to a few of their units. They lose in overtime, I guess, today to the Seahawks, but that was a tough win for them. That was a gutsy win for them week 1.
They lost in overtime today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lions blood. Don't make me ban you. Lions do not need a flea flicker for an offensive reset. How dare you?
Shock to the system, if you will.
Kick in the ass.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna call it. We're gonna watch some Sunday Night Football.
Yeah,
I want
to make some dinner.
I gotta rate grades. I gotta write the whole newsletter thingy.
One thing I'll do, since we have the Monday available, I will try to be live on my mini stream for just a little bit of chat, hang out on Monday. Maybe watch the start of Monday Night Football. I don't know what I'm doing with my night yet.
Is this touchdown
no
about
decaf.
to get called back?
What's that?
Texans just scored a touchdown, but there's a flag.
No.
It's on Bears. All right. Houston up 9-3. Extra point pending. Go watch that. If you missed this, it'll be up on the podcast feed tomorrow. You can watch it immediately right now on Twitch or YouTube after we end. That's all I got. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you all feel better.